I'm Rob Thomas, editor-in-chief of Club and Resort Business, and welcome to another episode of the Club and Resort Talks podcast. Today's podcast is sponsored by Force Supply. For 80 years, Force Supply has been a leader in the clubhouse and club supply industry. Founded in 1945, Force Supply began by operating out of a two-car garage on Chicago's Northwest Side. Almost 8 decades later, much has changed in the industry, but Force Supply remains a leader and innovator, still focused on being a one-stop shop for all customers. Learn more at forcesupply.com. Got our sponsor out of the way. Thank you very much, Force Supply. I want to tease a little bit to our guest today, Megan Johnston. She's the head golf instructor at Big Cedar Lodge in the Branson, Missouri area, originally from Northern Ireland. She's kind of gone through the circle. She played college golf over here in the States. Moved around a little bit, was down in Orlando, developed a fantastic youth program down there, and now she's returned to the Ozarks at Big Cedar Lodge. A lot going on there, and she's a very interesting conversation. So we'll get to that shortly after, but let me tell you a little bit more about the news, what's going on today before we get to Megan. There's a comprehensive resort adding falconry and aerial adventure course. How about that? Reynolds Lake Oconee members and resort guests can interact with and experience the thrill of handling trained birds of prey. Those birds include an Aplomado Falcon, 2 Harris Hawks, and a Eurasian Eagle Owl. Easy for me to say. All of that at the Greensboro, Georgia property. That and much, much more, obviously. That's part of the sporting side. There's a ton of golf, as you know, at Reynolds Lake Oconee as well. So a lot going on there, and a lot of reason to book your trip to Georgia. Next up, there's a study revealing the surge in golf travel confidence and spending for 2025. The Buffalo Group Golf Travel Study analyzes the state of golf travel among U.S. golfers, comparing year-over-year trends and focusing on travel behaviors, future intentions, and golfer demographics. You can go on to Buffalo Group, their website, and download the full report. There's a lot going on, a lot of information within that report. On our website, we have little snippets of it, so you can get a taste of what it is at clubandresortbusiness.com. But you're going to want to go to Buffalo Group to get the whole report. Last but not least, CMAA announces the 2025 Board of Directors. I was just down in Tampa, and I saw a lot of these folks. The CMAA Board of Directors consists of 13 club management professionals who work together with the association's 8,100 members, 38 chapters, and professional staff to advance the profession. CMAA was spectacular. It was fantastic. The weather in Tampa was amazing, and I got to meet a lot of our general managers, get to talk to them in person, not just over these Zoom calls. So that was a lot of fun, and a lot of vendors that we work with on a regular basis here at Club and Resort Business, but also some new people and some new products that are going to the industry. So that's fantastic. But let's get to Megan Johnston. I want to tease then also next week's podcast, we're going to have Mike Johnston, no relation, I don't believe. Spelled the same way, Johnston, but she's from Northern Ireland. I believe he's from Canada, but he's with Cava Citrus Farms down in Florida. He's the director of golf out there. So that'll be next week. This week, and right now, will be Megan Johnston, a head golf instructor for Big Cedar Lodge. Hello and welcome back to the Club and Resort Talks podcast. I'm joined by Megan Johnston, head golf instructor at Big Cedar Lodge. Megan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
All right, fantastic. We're excited to have you. If you could, before we get into the meat and potatoes of it all, give us a little background. What led you up to today?
Quite a long history. So I grew up in Northern Ireland, played junior golf there, received a scholarship opportunity from Missouri State. So that's about 30 minutes down the road from here. Played 4 years of Division I golf there, then moved to Arizona, and then I've been teaching in Florida the past 8 years before moving back to here. So full circle, we're all the way back to the Ozark area again. Just seems to keep calling me back here.
All right, fantastic. Maybe we get a little Rory McIlroy sighting since you got a couple Northern Ireland connections.
Yeah, for sure. We never directly, he was a little bit older than me, but we crossed paths at some junior training and stuff growing up.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, hey, let's get to it. First off, what did you, I mean, obviously, so you went to school in Missouri, not too far away. Is that what attracted you to the position of head golf instructor?
Yeah, so my husband's family, I have two daughters. They're 4 and 2, so we really wanted to find a place we would love to raise them. My husband's family's from the close proximity, both his sister-in-laws and my kids' cousins, and then my mother and father-in-law as well too. So when we were trying to find that like happy medium place, this was an opportunity for him to further his career at the office that he chose. He's in construction. And then when I was looking around, Big Cedar was a no-brainer that this was the right place and the right facility for me to continue to grow my career. So, yeah, stars aligned, everything kind of matched up all at once, and I'm very excited and grateful to be here.
Well, I'll tell you, Johnny Morris is a visionary. The stuff he's doing there is second to none, spectacular. I'm glad that you landed in a very not only a comfortable spot, but a wonderful, wonderful spot. We all change. I know that I've changed a lot since I had my son 14 years ago. But as far as your teaching philosophy, how has that evolved? Not necessarily since you had kids, but just along the way from when you started. I mean, obviously you're an accomplished player to today. Has there been a shift in training? Technology has, of course, taken off.
Yeah, for sure. So I try to challenge myself. That's the great thing about playing golf and also coaching. There's so much new stuff every year, and I challenge myself to stay on top of the new technologies and the new trainings and try to gather as much information as I can. But I would say the core fundamentals, I guess, of my teaching have remained the same and hopefully improved. But just being a goal-centered instructor and putting the focus on the person that's in front of you was something that was instilled in me whenever I started beginning teaching. And I just always come back to this person is paying to be here with me, and I'm in charge of helping them to get towards their goals. Now, obviously, my education, my ability to diagnose swings and get to the root problem a lot quicker has got better the more years that I've taught, the more bodies have been in front of me, and the more continuous education that I continue to take as well too. So, but yeah, those core philosophies is I'm here to help the person in front of me and help them reach their goal. I think is always kind of be a part of it, and it's part of the reason why I love teaching. So.
That's leads us perfectly into our next question. As far as the levels go, you've been teaching for a while now, and you've taught beginners to very accomplished players. Somebody who might be just trying to break 100, or somebody who's trying to break 70 and get their tour card, perhaps. I don't know. How do you approach differently? I mean, I imagine it's a hugely different approach from one golfer to the next, even if they're both fairly accomplished, but from bottom to top, it's got to be striking.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't necessarily put it on age, skill level a little more, but then just the person's individual learning style, how their brain thinks, helping them match their intentions towards the goal that they're working towards and keeping everything realistic and measured and timed and make sure that we're moving in the right direction. Obviously, juniors are going to be a little bit more gamification, particularly that entry level junior. And I've been fortunate enough to be around and work a lot with really great junior coaches, very creative people that find ways to keep juniors engaged. And I've kind of added that tool to my belt as well too to make sure it's an engaging environment and that passion and love is there. And then yeah, it's the coolest thing is we just meet so many different people with different backgrounds, different learning styles, different careers, and I find great joy in trying to figure out how their mind's working and how I can best communicate what I'm trying to tell them into their words, into their visuals, into the technology numbers or whatever it might be so that they can digest it and move forward to meet those goals.
On the topic of juniors, when you were in warmer climates, Orlando specifically, we're talking about the first tee in the girls golf program has had taken off. Do you see similar path here in Branson? I guess Ridgeland. I'm not sure. Where was it? Do you see a similar path with the junior program where you're at now?
For sure. So I've taken a lot of core values away from the first tee, not only for my junior programs, but also how to raise my own kids into being good, functioning human beings. But then girls golf is obviously a strong passion of mine and something I intend to bring here as well too. I have two daughters. We did have a girls golf program and not a ton of effort was being put into it. And the day and the moment I found out that my first child was a girl, I guess you could say with that's how parenting changed me. I decided that we needed to have the biggest and best girls golf program in the country. So I put a lot of attention and detail into that to making sure that it was built and ready for her to join when she was old enough.
Very good, very good. That's the it's a huge, I don't want to say untapped market, but there's a when you're talking about getting golfers into it, girls, I'm a girl dad myself, so getting girls into golf is massive for the industry in the future of our of the sport we love, correct?
Yeah, and it not just I had a lot of competitive girls that were in that as well too. But really the whole premise behind that program is whether you play golf the rest of your life or you take a 20-year break, at some point when you're working for a company and they say, "Hey, we have a golf outing," like you know how to hold the club. The golf course isn't a scary place for you. You feel like you're welcomed and belong there. So whether the girls during the program and they were there every single month or they just came in once or twice, we feel like we made that impact for them for the future whenever they come back. And it is such a great business tool that I feel like being on the golf course in the business world is a huge asset to females in particular. I think that's an untapped market for sure.
Now, I always talk about being challenged, facing those challenges, and overcoming those challenges. I'm sure you have your own challenges in life just every day. But as a golf instructor, what are you seeing with some of your students? What are some of the biggest challenges you're seeing, and how are you helping them overcome those challenges?
I think comparison on social media, which is obviously in anything at the moment, not just in golf instruction, but junior parents comparing them against other people. Everybody just the height, and you can just peak at such a different time. So that comparison's always kind of a hard thing. And then just whenever people watch the PGA Tour players, right? Like they're showing the best shots that happen every time, and then their expectations to be able to break 90 is they got to always hit a green with a pitching wedge, and really that's just not true. They don't show the bad shots on the TV. So helping people understand like what's your long-term goal, what's that intermediate goal, and really when you break it down, like here's the steps to break 90. You don't need to be watching the tour player, and once you hit that goal, you move to the next one and next one. So really just helping people understand there's a million ways to get to certain goals and finding them the right one to get to where they want to be, and just shifting their mindset to focus on what they can control now instead of the future.
So you're saying I shouldn't mimic Scotty Scheffler's footwork?
Without seeing your swing, and for health reasons, I'm going to say no. But if it works for you, absolutely.
Yeah, well, maybe if I wore some of my most worn out shoes, I can slip inside like Scotty and hit it 340 down the fairway. So fingers crossed. Uh, Now you're big on social media. A lot of social media is I mean it's the wave. Obviously, it's not the future. It's now. How are you planning on leveraging your social media following to enhance what you're doing at Big Cedar Lodge?
For sure. So I was fortunate in Florida as well too that the social media kind of led into advertising golf schools and bringing people in. And I feel like just now bringing that here and showcasing the property that we have, whether it be in the background of my videos or just sharing the information about the property, it's only going to enhance people coming in for golf schools and having an even better experience because we have world class golf courses and world class lodging. I mean, there's so many things to do here, family friendly activities as well too. So I think just taking that social media and running those golf schools, but then taking it up to the next level, and really giving the best golf trip possible, with instruction and then also all the add-ons on the side of that as well too.
So, assuming Tim Mahoney, a legendary instructor, didn't help you hone your Instagram skills, what were some of the things that you took from Tim and that you were implementing now in your instruction?
Oh, it's funny that you say that because he was terrible at it and I had to run his for him. But fantastic person. He's doing a much better job now. He might have a team, I'm not sure of that. But really, I think without him, I wouldn't be teaching. What he was able to do from watching the person walk down to the lesson tee, he was able to tell them like their step gait, like what was their pace, what was their energy, and then be able to match that and apply to them. So he just made this whole thing like I was thinking of the swing mechanics as the puzzle, but it's the communication, the understanding how that person's mind's working, what they've asked for. And he just made it even more fascinating for me to see what he did and feel like I could do that as well too. I mean, I remember standing on the lesson tee and having just five, six lessons in a row and the different personalities and how he changed to help those personalities in back-to-back hours was exhausting. I'm just scribbling notes, trying to keep up with everything. But I really just kind of opened my eyes to the passion of teaching and helping people and communicating with people as well too. Was something that really sparked the love for teaching for me. And I could confidently say that I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have that internship with him at the beginning.
Well, I imagine when Tim started teaching, technology was, I mean, pretty basic, right? So now we've got everything from TrackMan to I've seen these things where you put it on your head and it measures your brain waves. I think they had that technology at Nemacolin, and it was just futuristic stuff. How are you balancing all this new technology with still some basic teaching techniques? I mean, there's still that balance, or that there's still some value to putting a club on somebody's head and saying, you're swaying, don't move. So where do you balance those two, from the past to the present?
I think as a teacher, it's my job to learn everything I can about all of those technologies and trainings and different ways of doing things, and then digesting it and putting it where it needs to be in front of the person in front of me. So, for example, an extreme would be a very detail-oriented engineer is going to want to see the flight scope numbers. They're going to want to see the TrackMan data and the different things, and they would like number proof of like we're moving in the right direction. And then some people just stand in front of that technology and they freeze up. They're so focused on hitting a number instead of hitting the shot that it just doesn't allude well to a good progression of a lesson. So I think it's my job to understand the person that's in front of me and for me to know all that information and have that technology, but know the right time when to use it as well too. And that's a balance. But like I said, the more you can kind of get to know someone and understand how their brain works, then you're able to use that when needed or when you think it's valuable.
I'm not sure of Tim's coaching tree. I'm sure every coach these days somehow stems from Harvey Penick or something, whether it's Butch or whoever. One day people are going to be saying, "Hey, I learned this from Megan Johnston." What advice do you give to the next generation of teaching professionals?
That's a great question, and I would always give credit to the people that came before me. So I'm not sure the Megan Johnston will be the opening statement, but I just think that understanding people and I think just my core values of learn as much as you can, never get bored learning. You always have to get better as a teacher because you're asking your students to get better and believe in you. So the day and the moment that you stop learning is the day and the moment you should probably stop teaching. But yeah, just getting to know the student, make sure their intentions are correct, make sure that you know what their goals are and you're helping them in the right way. I think that statement would stand the test of time, no matter what teaching philosophy comes through next.
So, in a second here, I'm going to ask you to take your crystal ball out, and I want you to look into it down the road. But before I get to that, I want to know what excites you most on a day-to-day basis about your return to the Ozarks, both personally and professionally.
Personally, having my kids grow up in this area, seeing four seasons, We're big outdoors people, so just having and we were outdoors people in Florida as well too. It's just a different type of outdoors. But having the ability for them to have everything that my husband and I had growing up in regards to outdoors, for them being closer to family, and then just the culture and how everybody's so nice and friendly in the area. I think that's really important. I'm excited for my kids to grow up here, and kind of get involved in all the stuff that they want to do. And then professionally, I just feel like this place is already so amazing, and we're, constantly adding new things. We're going to open another golf course here soon. I just feel like I'm at the ground floor of the beginning of this, and the ground floor already looks pretty amazing. So I'm excited to take the academy and grow with that and see what opportunities come out of being here. So just really excited for, everything that's to come and the opportunities that'll be available just because we're at such an amazing resort.
Very good. So wrangling gators is a little different than, and we're in SPF 70 down there when you're so close to the sun in Florida, huh? A little different than in the Ozarks.
Yes, I waited a very long time to go see my dermatologist. I didn't want to go fresh off of Florida because they would have probably, not been very happy with me, but I feel like they're happier now.
Oh, when you're living so close to the sun, it's tough to do it. Anyway, so, okay, I gave you a warning. I asked you to get that crystal ball out. I want you to look into it deep, deep, deep. 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. What do you see? And it's hard being Johnny Morris's brain's going 100 miles an hour. What do you see, not only at Big Cedar Lodge, but what do you see with Megan Johnston and your teaching?
A world-class facility, and world-class teachers, a team of teachers that when you come in here, every possible thing can be done here on site, and not just done, but done to an incredibly high level where you're going to want to come back here. The golf courses already do that. And my job is to get the academy to match that same excellent level where people just are like, wow, okay, we need to go and do that again. And they're telling people and telling their friends. So yeah, I'm starting behind and I'm gonna catch up, but yeah, we're gonna make a world-class academy just like we have a world-class resort.
No, I lied. This is not your last question. So I got one more for you. You're instructing, right? I don't know what the numbers are going into. I always say Branson. I know it's not Branson, but it's Branson proper, right? So you have a lot of people coming in there year or day after day, week after week, most of the season. Who are your students? Are you dealing with a lot of traveling guests? Are you dealing with mostly locals that are coming in to learn and get better? What are you seeing mostly?
When I first got here, which was October, it was majority traveling people. So a lot of people had seen, oh, we were going to come to Florida for a golf school, and now you're so close. So we pulled from Arkansas, Oklahoma, St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, all those kind of neighboring big cities. And then we have almost 20 people, 20 different groups traveling in from now through the end of June, for the same thing. Find on social media, kind of want to do a golf school, and then obviously enjoy the beautiful resort as well too. But during this quieter season, December, January, February, it's definitely leaned a little bit more on local people. I had a gentleman fly in from Atlanta because he looked at the weather and seen it was a nice week and decided to do it. But for the most part, with the weather being a little questionable at the moment, it's pulling local people.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Megan Johnston, for joining us. I really appreciate talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.